The way that phrase came out, lost the locker room, reminds me that Chris Sims will, from time to time, say, I lost my spleen. And he says it in a way that makes me say, well, did you misplace it? Did you find it? Like, where is the locker room? I've lost it. I can't find it. And first of all, I don't know that Doug Pederson's ever going to admit it. Like, what coach would ever say, yeah, you know what? I don't know why I'm here. I don't know why they haven't fired me. I've completely lost the locker room. The comment that he made on Sunday was so jarring when he's asked about whether or not he's going to take play calling duties from offensive coordinator Press Taylor. And he says, hey, at some point, we don't execute the plays. We don't run the plays. We just call the plays. And then he pivoted back. He realized what he was saying. So he said, blame it all on me. But it's not going well. And I know Sims thinks he was talking about his quarterback, the guy that's making $55 million a year, and the guy that maybe isn't earning that contract. There's just dysfunction in Jacksonville right now. And whether he's lost the locker room or not, they've lost 9 out of 10 games dating back to last year. He's 18-20 in 3+ seasons with the team. And the owner wrote a big-ass check before the season. This is the best Jaguars team ever assembled. Just a matter of time before Doug Pederson isn't the head coach, unless they turn it around and keep it turned around right now.
And what Sims said is an issue of what Doug Pederson. Like, as soon as you say something like that, Sims says, hey, I think it's Trevor Lawrence. Somebody else is saying, hey, I think it's this. I think it's that. Like, you can't say that, and Coach Garrett said it Sunday. As much as, even now, us in the media or fans, as much as we hate coaches' talk of saying, the cliche thing and not really answering the question, this is another reason why, especially after games, you're emotional, you're in the middle of a game. They had a chance to win Sunday against Houston, made a good amount of plays to go out there and win that football game, and you fall short. And then you answer questions, and you sometimes answer right away on how you feel. And I'm sure even before he kind of even, goes back and listens to the transcript, when he went and watched the film, I'm sure there's things as a coach you're wishing you would have done differently. I'm sure there's going to be different plays that you felt players could have done. Like, that's just the way the NFL goes. That's the flow, ebbs and flows of a game. So you have to always, to me, have some kind of responses that are going to be your go-to in the questions that you're going to get asked. You lost a tough game. Questions about your job are going to start to come out and different things. Like, you got to have a planned answer, what you're going to go with, reevaluate it, get your thoughts together, come back Monday when you do your interview, you do your next presser, you have a better handle. Because when you say things like this as a player right away, you think, as soon as you hear that, you think of all the coaching mistakes you've had. All the coaching mistakes in the game jump to your mind right away. Even though you might have made some mistakes as players, that's what you're doing. Now you create an atmosphere that is brutal. And I will say, did he lose the locker room? When coaches lose the locker room, they don't know they lost the locker room. How they know? They don't know if they lost the locker room or not. So he has no idea. So, of course, he thinks he still has a locker room. They don't know when they lose it.
Yeah. Nobody's going to come up to you and say, hey, coach, you've lost the locker room. Nobody's going to say that. But I will say this. He didn't say after the loss to the Texans that it was because of the cadence. At least he didn't do that. But still, what he did was problematic enough. And I look at their upcoming schedule, okay? I don't want to call the game against the Colts winnable. The Colts are 2-2.
Yeah.
It's winnable only in the sense that it's a division game, and division games tend to be hard fought even if one team stinks, as the Jaguars do. It's not winnable, but they could win it. That's the better way to put it. And then they go to London for 2 games, back-to-back. Bears, Patriots in London. Then look at the next 4 before the bye. Holy cow. Packers, Eagles, Vikings, Lions. I think if they lose the next 3, Peterson's out before the Packers game. I think if they get blown out on Sunday, blown out and embarrassed like they did against the Bills, and I'm not saying they will, I'm just saying if that should happen, if it's just debacle, I think there's a chance Mike McCoy's the head coach of the team on an interim basis when they make their trip to London. I feel like it's at that point. Only because the owner said what he said at the end of August. This is the best Jacksonville Jaguars team ever assembled. Now, maybe he doesn't believe it and he's just trying to get people to buy tickets, which would make him Jerry Jones. But I think he believes it. And he's the one, he's wrong. We've had this conversation. He's wrong, but it doesn't matter because he's the one that calls the shots and decides whether or not the coach gets fired. So they get embarrassed this weekend. I think Pederson doesn't make it to London. They lose the next 3. I don't think Pederson makes it home from London.
They honestly, they got to win 2 of the next 3. Like, you look, and it's the Colts, the Bears, and the Patriots. If I'm an owner, and again, no disrespect to any owner, but I'm going to go out on the ledge and say they don't know much about football and how the game is played, but they fully understand watching other teams and seeing what they're going through and what's happening. You look, and you're like, well, we definitely should beat these teams, right? Joe Flacco's out there, and I know Joe Flacco has been good, and we'll see how Anthony Richardson is going to do, but for most people probably think we're going to get Flacco on Sunday, so now you're getting a backup quarterback, an older quarterback, versus your $55 million quarterback. Then we go to the Bears. We have a rookie quarterback. Then we go to New England, and you have Jacoby Brissett, and people are teeing off on him. So you got to feel like, hey, let's get the Colts game, and then we're basically going home because we're going to London. We play there the most. We should have the advantage over the other 2 teams coming to London, and especially that next week we're staying, even though statistics show that staying doesn't always equal wins, but you're going to play against a Patriots team who's still figuring things out. They should definitely feel good about that. So I agree with you. If this is if one of these games get really ugly or they lose 2 of these games, especially they start off 0-2, I think that could be really bad for Pederson.
Yeah, and it's funny you said that owners really don't know football or how the game is played. That's one of the things I love so much about covering the NFL. You've got these multi-billion-dollar football organizations that are run by basically mom-and-pop operations, and the only qualification is, do I have enough money to buy a team, or did I inherit the team from a family member, right? That's it. There's no test you have to pass to be an owner. You don't have to know anything about football to be an owner. And you've got all these people that are working for you that know it, and you're the one making the decision on when change is going to be made. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.